Welcome to Uninhibited, the Mental Health Podcast. I'm Jessica Van Leer, a licensed professional counselor in Arizona. This podcast is about showing up fully, without shame, without masks, and without apology. A quick reminder, this podcast is for educational purposes only and does not constitute therapy or create a therapeutic relationship. If you are in crisis or need support, please reach out to a licensed provider in your area. In today's episode, we're talking about over-explaining, why we do it, how it functions as a trauma response, and how we can begin to reclaim our right to say less with confidence and clarity. Over-explaining is the habit of giving excessive detail to justify your thoughts, boundaries, emotions, or actions. It often shows up as trying to avoid misunderstanding, preemptively defending yourself, apologizing for taking up space. It's not just a communication style, it's often a survival strategy. It's about seeking safety through being understood, often at the cost of your own energy and clarity. Over-explaining may begin subtly, sharing background information to be helpful, but it can quickly become a way of minimizing perceived conflict. Many people don't realize they're doing it because it's been normalized in their upbringing or reinforced by relationships where boundaries weren't honored. Culturally, some communities, especially those socialized as women, are often taught that their value lies in being agreeable, pleasant, and accommodating. Over-explaining becomes a way to manage discomfort, preserve likability, or avoid being labeled as rude or difficult. It can also show up in professional settings, justifying a boundary around workload, apologizing before asserting a clear decision, or adding unnecessary context in emails to soften a direct message. Over-explaining can lead to burnout and internalized self-doubt. You may start to question whether your thoughts and feelings are valid unless they're backed by a lengthy explanation. This habit keeps you tethered to other people's reactions instead of your own internal compass. Sometimes it can sound like, I don't mean to be rude, it's just that I promise I'm not upset. I hope this isn't too much, but here's everything I thought through. For many, over-explaining is linked to a trauma response, particularly the fawn response. When conflict or rejection felt unsafe growing up, you may have learned to communicate overly in hopes of staying connected or avoiding punishment. This can look like explaining why you need to rest so others don't think you're lazy, justifying your no with 3 layers of context, reassuring people that you're not upset even when you're setting a boundary. Over-explaining often emerges in households where love and attention were conditional, where peace depended on being helpful, non-confrontational, or emotionally tuned in to caregivers' moods. For children in these environments, being easy to be around became a survival strategy. These dynamics can also arise in systems marked by emotional neglect, authoritarian parenting, or unpredictable behavior from adults. In these cases, a child learns that a request or boundary must be buffered with reassurance to avoid consequences like guilt tripping, silence, or emotional withdrawal. This behavior can carry into adulthood, where people might feel unshakable pressure to make their feelings palatable. It often shows up in romantic relationships, friendships, and workplaces, especially when someone internalizes the idea that asserting themselves is inherently risky or selfish. Over time, this erodes your trust in your own clarity. It also sends the message, I don't believe I'm allowed to take up space without permission. You become disconnected from your internal compass, always checking in with others before acting on your own truth. In therapy, this often appears in people who grow up in chaotic households or with emotionally immature caregivers. Their sense of safety was linked to being agreeable or palatable, even if it meant abandoning their needs. It's important to remember that over-explaining isn't a character flaw, it's a deeply conditioned response that served a purpose. Healing it requires both compassion and skill building. Over-explaining is often a dysregulated nervous system trying to prevent harm. When we sense threat, our body moves to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Over-explaining lives in the fawn zone. Your body says, maybe if I explain enough, I'll be safe. It's a brilliant strategy until it becomes exhausting. You end up leaking energy consistently, managing others' perceptions, and moving further away from your own center. Somatically, you may notice a tight chest when you say no, nervous laughter while asserting a need, racing thoughts trying to say it the right way. The vagus nerve plays a key role here. It's part of the parasympathetic nervous system that helps you regulate after stress. When it's underactive or stuck in survival loop, it becomes harder to speak clearly and confidently. Your body is trying to keep the peace, but the peace often comes at the expense of your truth. Healing asks us to tolerate the nervous system discomfort of not over-explaining and to learn that discomfort doesn't mean danger. Breathwork, grounding practices, and co-regulation with safe people can help. As your nervous system becomes more resilient, you'll find it easier to say less and still feel safe. You don't owe people a story to validate your needs. Your boundary, your no, your quiet movement, those are enough on their own. What you actually owe: honesty, kindness, respect for your own limits. What you don't owe: a lengthy justification, emotional caretaking of someone else's reaction, diluting your message to sound softer. When you believe your needs are valid, you don't need to argue for them. This doesn't mean you can't offer context or transparency. It means that it should come from choice, not fear. If someone pushes back, you can respond with simple, calm language. This is what I'm available for. I don't have more to explain. I understand that this may be hard to hear, and this is still my truth. Let's practice with a few examples. Instead of, I can't come because I have this, and then that, and I really need to rest, but I feel bad, say, thanks for the invite. I won't make it, but I appreciate you thinking of me. Instead of, I said no because I have a lot going on and I didn't want to hurt your feelings, say, that doesn't work for me right now. Instead of, I'm trying not to be rude. I just have to do what's right for me, and I hope that's okay. And you can say, I've decided to go a different direction. It may feel abrupt at first, but over time, your nervous system will adjust to the power of clear, grounded communication. You'll spend less energy trying to be understood and more time being aligned. So, what happens when people push back? When you stop over explaining, some people will notice, and some will push back. Not everyone will celebrate your new boundaries. They may say, you've changed. Why are you being so distant? I don't understand why you're being like this. That's okay. Their discomfort doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It means they were used to access without boundaries, and now they're learning the new terms of connection. This is where holding steady matters. You can say, I'm being more intentional about how I share myself. I've been working on not over explaining, and this is part of that. You're still important to me, and I'm learning to communicate differently. Remind yourself, not over-explaining isn't rude. It's responsible self-leadership. Over-explaining often comes from the belief, I can't trust myself unless others validate me. So what happens when you reclaim that trust? You speak more slowly. You pause instead of rushing to explain. You notice when you're giving from fear rather than truth. Reclaiming self-trust means you give yourself the benefit of the doubt. You stop assuming your needs are wrong. You lead with clarity, not apology. One powerful practice: journal your decisions without explaining them. Write, I choose this, and stop there. Let it be enough. Another practice is, at the end of the day, ask, where did I speak clearly today? And where did I overextend? This awareness builds new muscle. Another reason overexplaining happens is because we don't feel heard. Practicing active listening and inviting it in return can help reduce the urge to overdefend. Active listening looks like making eye contact, reflecting back what you heard before responding, saying things like, so what I'm hearing is, or it sounds like you're feeling. When you practice active listening in your relationships, it sets a tone for natural respect. And when you're on the receiving end of active listening, you often feel more grounded, less desperate to fill in every blank. Try this. The next time someone expresses something, focus on understanding, not fixing. When others feel seen, they tend to soften. When you feel seen, you don't have to overperform to be understood. Healthy communication goes both ways, and less explaining is easier when true listening is part of the relationship culture. Let's close with a few deep breaths. Inhale, hold, and exhale. A few reflection prompts are, when do I feel the urge to overexplain? Whose approval am I trying to secure? What would it feel like to say less and trust it? What's one area of my life where I could practice saying less this week? What's one over-explaining script I'm ready to release? You are enough, even in silence. You're allowed to speak plainly. You don't have to overperform to be worthy. Next week on The Uninhibited, we'll explore shame spirals and how to interrupt them before they pull you under. Until then, breathe, speak gently, stay uninhibited.